I believe that self-love is our superpower. And if we have the courage to throw that self-love cape on, we are incapable of failing. And we are able to elevate every aspect of our life, whether it's our profession, our personal, our physical, our mental, our emotional. Every aspect of our life is better when we embrace the power of our own self-love and our own self-worth and live from that space.
In this conversation about power, I'm talking to Theresa Paganini of Love Yourself, Lean and Elevate. She shares a story of how she went backpacking in Florida, how that went seriously wrong, and how that changed her life, making her realize how important self love was as a way to steer your life. And that's what she's going to be sharing with us today, how we can embrace loving ourselves to help us show up and have a more powerful, more enjoyable life. Hi, on today's conversation about power, I'm talking to Theresa Paganini, and you can tell, look at this energy. Isn't this wonderful? Theresa, welcome. Thank you so much for being here today.
I'm so excited. This is fantastic.
Yeah, we're going to have a good conversation because we've chatted before, haven't we? And we had a great conversation. So I'm looking forward to this one today. So, Theresa, tell us about yourself. Who are you and what do you do?
I love it. So I'm Theresa Paganini. I am the owner and founder of both Love Yourself Lean and Elevate, and I am a self-love advocate. I believe that self-love is our superpower, and if we have the courage to throw that self-love cape on, we are incapable of failing, and we are able to elevate every aspect of our life, whether it's our profession, our personal, our physical, our mental, our emotional. Every aspect of our life is better when we embrace the power of our own self-love and our own self-worth and live from that space. So that's who I am and that is what I do.
Right. So, self love sounds easy. Yeah.
It sounds fluffy. I think most people, when they hear self-love, they're thinking like, let's get a massage, let's have, like a pedicure. They're thinking like, this sounds bougie. I like it. It's not. It's not easy. It's not that.
No, exactly. Exactly. So I'm assuming you didn't just naturally have this as a child and you're sharing this wonderful gift with the rest of
I
us.
was blessed with knowing all of this from birth. No.
so so how did, so how did you find this idea of self-love?
Sure. So, unfortunately, my mother has battled with a lack of self-love and a lack of self-worth her entire life, and therefore my entire life. And so, watching her as I grew up, she had struggled with obesity her entire life. And as a young child, you don't notice any of that. But as you start to become aware of it, like everybody else, you focus on the physical and you're like, well, how do I help her physically? So I studied everything I could on nutrition and on exercise. And first of all, no mother wants their 8-year old kid trying to teach them how to lose weight, by the way. So, note to self. Yeah. So, that was my first lesson. You cannot help the unwilling. But also, then my second was realizing as I then went through my own journey, having watched her self abuse herself through my own life, I started to adopt that same behavior. And so I would drop something on the floor and pardon my French, but I would be like, oh, you dumbass, because that's what my mother would do. And when I would look in the mirror, it didn't matter what was there. What I would say is, oh, you're so fat. When you did anything that wasn't exactly perfect, it was self-rejection, self-rejection. Like self-rejection was just the norm and it was almost a compulsion. And so once I started to battle that, I recognized what she battled. And it wasn't her weight. She battled self-rejection. She battled this lack of love and worthiness. And as a result, she remained, my father loved my mother unconditionally. And yet my mother lived from a space where she never truly felt loved and fully accepted. My mother was loved by everyone in the community. She's very heavily involved in the church, but she never felt like she belonged. She made horrible choices, career pathing. She made horrible choices for every aspect of her life. Everything she chose put her in a position to be miserable. And it was through watching that and then doing that, and yes, becoming miserable. I started to like depression and isolation. The same thing. I was in a crowd, everybody loved me, and I never felt loved. I never felt like I belonged. And luckily, some divine intervention had me understanding, wow, this is a choice. Like how you feel is a choice, right? Like I can feel hurt, but why? And what is it? How's that going to help me? And what do I do with it? And if I feel hurt, am I going to do something about it or am I going to wallow in it? And am I going to martyr? So I had watched a lot of martyring and victiming, and it led to misery. And that helped me understand I'm doing the same thing. And yes, I'm miserable. So let's do the opposite and see what happens. And I did. I took myself on my own journey and I forced myself. Like I used to be like this and not make eye contact. And if somebody gave me a compliment, oh my God, that was the worst thing ever. And I forced myself to pull my shoulders back, be seen, and look somebody in the face and say thank you and shut up, not deflect, not right. And it was all uncomfortable. It was uncomfortable until it wasn't. And all of a sudden, I felt connected. And all of a sudden, there was true sharing. And all of a sudden, this didn't become a conscious act, but so much of just a natural act. And it changed everything for me. I went from low income housing. I went from being overweight. I went from being depressed. I was 23 years old. I'd never been in a relationship because I never thought somebody could love me. And then all of a sudden, through this practice, I got an entirely new job, bought a house, bought a car, fell in love, lost all my weight. Like my whole life changed. And it really helped me understand it is a superpower that you either choose to cultivate or you don't.
Right. So I get the idea, when you're talking about choice, and I think you're absolutely right. We always have a choice. We may think we don't have a choice, but we always have a choice. We at least have a choice to try. Even if we
Yeah.
do something, yeah, we can at least try. So where did that where did that moment of clarity come from? Because that's quite a deep insight into life, that hey, i'm
Yeah.
i'm actually doing this to myself. I can do things differently. Can you remember when you felt that clarity?
I felt the clarity when I had really what I consider that aha moment. So I was still focused. My mother, having hated herself and always using obesity as her reason, I still got distracted by weight. And so my self-rejection was around my weight. And I had been to college for exercise and sports science. I'd been to college for nutrition. And it was after that that I had gained all of my weight. And so there were two things that happened that gave me the aha moment. And one was a girlfriend showed me a picture of her with this other woman. And I was like, who is it? She was like, what do you mean? So who's in the picture with you? She's like, that's you, dummy. And I'm like, what? I had no idea. I didn't recognize myself at all. And then all of a sudden I realized, oh yeah, I own that shirt and those are my keys. Oh my God, that is me. So that was the aha number one. But then aha number two, I had decided for my very first backpacking trip ever to go with this other girl, both of us not really that fit. And we decided to go from Florida to the west coast of Canada and backpack 40 kilometers in 7 days, and neither one of us had ever done this before. So we fly there, we get started, we hike the 9 kilometers in. Once again, we have no idea what we're doing. We wake up the next day and both of us are in so much pain. We're like dying. And we're trying to be like strong about it, but we're moaning and we're groaning and we're like, are we really gonna do this? And we both made this decision we can't. So we turned around and we had literally we made it 9 kilometers. And then that next day, 9 kilometers out. So then we spent, and we were broke kids. So we spent the rest of the time in a hostel outside of Seattle, Washington. And I was smoking, I was drinking, I was beating myself up. What a failure, what a failure, what a failure. God, you're such a loser. God, you're so fat. Like you can't live this life. You have all these big ideals. You want to be this amazing person and you're not. Like you're not. And so I was like, spiraling and chain smoking while I spiraled.
Obviously. And
Right. And I'm like,
and then you need the drink because your throat's dry because of the smoking. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
exactly. And cigarettes are really disgusting without a drink. So you're kind of like, the
Absolutely.
only time I could smoke is if I had one. So it's like, it
Yeah,
was like this bad thing. And
yeah.
I was in this place where I was just like, you know what? I need to be by myself. So as I'm spiraling by myself with my cigarette, with my drink, I think I just looked at them and I was like, well, this could be the culprit. I don't know. What do you think? And then I was like, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing? You went to school for this. You know what to do. You're choosing not to do it. Look at you. You want a different life, but yet you're choosing things that don't allow it. Why? So I don't know what allowed me at a young age to work myself through that process and get to the conclusion that I got to. But I do know it was through that failure and then grasping and kind of holding on to that failure and then kind of self-validating it through the smoking and the drinking and the self-beration that it took me so low I had no place else to go but up. And I was just lucky enough to have some guiding light that I can't explain that allowed me to go up in the right way, that then allowed me to see the truth of how this world could work, how we as humans should work, and then gave me the courage to then try to inspire others with that same journey.
That's quite a story, you know. And I'm thinking, well, you also had the perspective, didn't you? I mean, it's sad for your mom, but her life gave you a perspective of, I don't want to do that.
Yeah. And my mother, which this is such a weird dichotomy. My mother, I equate her to MacGyver. Are you familiar with MacGyver?
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah. So anybody who's super young is not gonna know MacGyver. MacGyver's so cool. Look him up. So MacGyver would MacGyver would take a ballpoint pen and a rubber band and a paper clip, and you'd be able to disarm a bomb and get out of a locked room, right? Like he could do anything. That's my mother. My mother can do anything with nothing. She is the most indomitable, stubborn, strong human who then chooses to fall on the side of victim and martyr. So it was a very weird dichotomy because like for me, but yet, God, you're indestructible. Like,
Yeah.
you're incredible. So I was seeing that honestly, that allowed me to see, wow, like if she would just get out of her own way, because she was her only roadblock, if she would get out of her own way, if she would choose to believe in herself, if she would choose, even if she didn't believe in herself, to fake it till she made it so she could prove to herself she was worthy, oh my God, her life would have been so different.
Do you think she could have done that in the time that she grew up?
No, she didn't have. I was very lucky. My mother, despite hating herself, loved the hell out of me. And she was a phenomenal mother. And she created this amazing childhood filled with words of empowerment, filled with words of love, filled with also a lot of independence and autonomy. She really was phenomenal in balancing, I love you, now go figure it out and fall. You're okay. You'll get up. You'll be fine. And not everybody has that. And she definitely did not have that. She grew up mostly on the streets from a young age. And so she didn't have a role model. She didn't really have a lot of parenting. And so she didn't have what I had. I can only be who I am because of the 98% of her that's phenomenal, as well as witnessing the 2% that really sucked.
Yeah. Yeah. You've taken that. I mean, that's a beautiful portrayal of your mum. It really is. And yeah, we are all human beings, right? You know, we're not perfect. We have things that are great about us and things that are not as great about us. And, you know, hey, yeah. But I love the
And
way
the
that you talk about her.
well, in the world today, I feel like is much more like her 2%. We are so focused on our imperfection. And I don't know what that does, how that serves us. It does make us victims. It does make us get in our own way. And at no point does insecurity make us better. At no point does berating ourselves make us more determined. It doesn't, right? I've been in the weight loss industry for decades. And at no point when I've had a client be like, oh my God, I have no self control and I suck, at no point did that motivate him or her to be better. Like this This,
No.
once again, compulsion, I use that word because that's what it seems like, to self-reject and to beat ourselves down doesn't serve any positive purpose. And yet we all tend to lean that direction. And it's very interesting. And I think a lot of it is social media nowadays and the internet because it's so comparative. And right, we've got those that are sharing their dirty laundry, but then most are showing only like how life is perfect. I can't tell you how many people that I'm friends with are talking about how much, how wonderful their husband is on their anniversary, on their husband's birthday. But I know for a fact they cannot stand their husband. And if they had the courage, they'd leave them.
Wow.
But on social media, oh, I love them so much. Look how happy we are. And I'm thinking the lack of authenticity that we see around us, and then we compare, right? Like I was just in a tough spot with my husband, and I could have been like, well, hell, my relationship sucks and they have it great. Why am I failing? Why can't I do this? He doesn't love me. Like I could have spiraled there too. Why? And we all tend to fall on that side of things versus looking at everything we're really good at. We're meant to be imperfect. We're meant to fail. We're meant to fall down. We're meant to get up. That's how we get stronger.
How we
And
learn.
yet instead of embracing that,
Yeah.
we shy away from it.
Yeah. So exactly, that's the story you were just saying, wasn't it? About going backpacking, finding out after that 9 miles you couldn't get any further, and that was the failure was the thing that set you onto a different path. Yeah.
Yeah. And as long as I was spiraling, I wasn't getting any better and I was doing even worse, smoking, drinking more than I ever had in my life just because I was self-abusing, because I was such a failure. But then once I was like, I don't want to be a failure. So if I don't want to be a failure, I've got to stop doing things that make me feel like a failure. Right? It was that changing commitment that made the difference. And it is empowering. Speaking
Yeah.
of power,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's
Yeah. Yeah.
hugely empowering.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And what you're talking about is really a process where we are all to a certain extent disempowering ourselves all the time, aren't we?
Yes,
Anytime we're criticizing ourselves, bringing ourselves down, judging ourselves, we're disempowering ourselves.
100%.
Yeah.
All by choice, which blows the mind.
Yeah. Well, yeah, all by the thoughts aren't arriving by choice, but we have a choice what we
No,
do with the choice, what we do with the thoughts, don't we? Yeah.
100%. Yeah. So it's very much, this analogy is so overdone, but I'm going to do it anyway. So you buy a car, right? And I'm going to say somebody used the red Kia. So you buy a Kia, and all of a sudden you see Kias everywhere. And you're like, oh my gosh, look, I bought a Kia. Now everybody has a Kia. Well, no, everybody had a Kia, and now you have a Kia. But it opened our eyes to what was out there. Now we're seeing what we want to see. Are we seeing the Miata? No. Is it there? Yes. And so beliefs work the same way. When we're looking for validation of a belief, we're going to find it. So if we believe we're not enough, we are going to be looking for validation that we're not enough. And the more we have the feeling and then give it life, the more we're not enough. But if we want to believe we're absolutely capable, and we are absolutely worthy, we're going to then start looking for proof that we are capable and worthy. And that's where the choice comes in. What belief do we want proof for? What do we want to validate? And what are we going to go look for? Am I going to give attention when that thought comes in that, oof, you're not looking your best today? Or am I going to shut that down as fast as I can and be like, man, your hair looks great? Right? And focus on what's the good thing, right? You got your lipstick dialed in today. Look at you coloring in the lines. Good job, right? And so, what are you going to give your attention to? What are you going to give your energy to? That is your power.
Yeah, absolutely. So if I say the word power, what kind of associations do you have with it?
I have good and bad associations with the word power, I think, as does everyone, right? On the good side, once again, what beliefs do I want to validate? The word self-love, like to me, that is the ultimate power. You cannot give love if you don't feel love for yourself. You cannot receive love if you don't feel love for yourself. You cannot speak your truth. You cannot set boundaries. Like you won't go after the life you deserve without self-love. So to me, the greatest power is that. So, and that to me is very uplifting and beautiful and wonderful. I think power makes me think of just love overall. I think power is in connection, true connection, authenticity. I think showing who you are and being willing to be vulnerable and being willing to be seen is powerful. Courage is power. And to be seen and to be vulnerable is courageous. To speak your truth despite conflict is courageous. To set boundaries and put yourself first is courageous. So these are all powerful things to me. On the opposite spectrum, right? Power, you can also see power quite negatively in its abuse. When people have power and then abuse it to bring others down rather than lift others up, to continue to create disparity and a break in connection versus bringing connection together. So I think power is exactly as it's named. It is powerful. And whether it's for the force of good or evil is in each person's hands and what choice we decide to make.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. It is a an entity, and it's the intention behind it that's the
Yep.
really important thing, isn't it? So,
Yep.
when do you feel most powerful?
I'm a cliche because of what I do, but when I'm self-accepting, when I'm loving who I am in that moment, when I'm feeling myself, right? That's when I feel my most powerful because I don't feel as if I can be knocked down. I believe in universal energy. I believe I believe in angels, and I believe I have a lot of guiding light. I think that's truly my answer of how I knew my self-love story so young. But when I feel in connection with the universal energy around me, when I feel like I'm just a drop of water in the ocean, but the ocean doesn't exist without every single drop. And so when I feel like I'm doing my best as that drop of water to build that ocean, I am powerful, which means I am focused on my own joy. I am focused on my own strength. I am focused on my success. I am focused on my balance. I am focused on my spiritual, physical, emotional fulfillment. And as a result, my light shines onto everyone else. And I get to be an example for everyone else. I can't control other people and I have no desire to do so, but I can influence. And I can only influence through my own behavior and my own aura and my own energy. And when I'm influencing positively because I am living in my authentic self, I am my most powerful.
Yeah, you're so right because I mean, power is not the most powerful people. If you think back, if I think back over my life, the most powerful moments have been to do with what somebody, maybe what somebody said about their own lives, how they explained something, how they acted, how I saw them doing something. It's never been a moment where they've said, you need to do this or you have to do that.
Nope.
That's not how it works, is it? So,
No. When somebody uses power as a weapon, they truly aren't using power, they're bullying,
yeah.
right? And their power is only as strong as we allow it to be, right? I feel like that positive, when you have power for good, others want to build that power. They want to bask in that power. They want to share in that power. And they also want to prove they've got the same power. When you've got the power of evil, others want to cower and they want to shy away from it. Or they want to be a part of it because they also want to feel that kind of bullyish power. And that's really insecurity. There's real no power there.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, if you have to hang together to feel powerful,
Yeah.
that says enough, really,
Yeah.
doesn't it? Yeah.
Yep. It does.
Yeah. So, what do you enjoy about power?
The influence, the ability to spread good, the ability to uplift. The if I were quiet, if I didn't believe so passionately about what I do, and I kept it to myself, I'd just be that drop of water. But what I get so excited about is when I shout my message from the rooftops, knowing what it can do for other people and have other people go, oh my God, that makes so much sense. Yes, let me join your tribe. Yes. And let me also then spread it to others. right? We become that ocean, all these drops working together to create positivity. That to me is that's epic.
Yeah. And what do you do if you want to feel more powerful? If you've sort of lost it? I mean, I don't know how often you now go backpacking and end up smoking and drinking, but imagine you're in a state where you're not feeling quite as empowered as you obviously are today. But, what do you do to get back to that state?
That's a great question because I don't backpack anymore, unfortunately, because my body doesn't like it. My body hurts. And the old me would have beat myself up and have been like, wow, you're so weak. You can't get past the pain and your body's falling apart and you're getting old. But the new me, the powerful me, when I'm at these lows, I I show grace and I show compassion. And how I regain my power is to take a step back and really evaluate, what do I need? Do I need a break? Can I continue this journey with a break? Let's stop. Let's look at nature. Let's just immerse ourselves. Let's just sit there for a second, have a snack, play with my dogs. And then when I'm feeling reinvigorated, keep going. Or do I need to turn around and understand this is one day? Tomorrow, I get back out there. So instead of beating myself up when my power is feeling dim, I recognize that's just my body, my mind, my spirit telling me I need something. And beating myself up doesn't make me feel more powerful. But sitting and stopping and assessing, what do I need? And is it a break? Is it a hug? Is it a snack? Right? Is it a nap? What do I need? And then allowing myself to take it without guilt. That's how I rebuild my power. And that's how I just, you're never powerful all the time. It ebbs and flows just like a wave. And allowing it to ebb and flow is as powerful as being right, like that, the grace and the compassion to give yourself that space, that time, that down. That's powerful. And none of people do it. We
Yeah.
see it as weakness, and it's not.
Yeah.
It's not
Sometimes it's
weakness.
just what you have to do, isn't it? Yeah. And the
It's
thing,
what you should do,
yeah. And I think if you force yourself and keep going, when you need to have take that step back, you then lose the joy in what you're doing. So what's the point in that? I mean, one of the things that, I mean, obviously looking at you and how you talk and your energy and the way you move and everything, there's a lot of joy in what you do.
love it. Yeah.
Yeah. So you can really sense that in you. And if you're forcing yourself, that joy disappears, doesn't it? I know this from, I've done this so many times and then just ended up being grumpy and thought, how did I get here? I went past my boundaries again, didn't I? That's
Right.
that's it. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Mm.
I think we get lost in the noise. It's a very, the world, society, once again, I think that the whole social media thing and just we're feeling this expectation we have to constantly be on. We have to constantly be doing. We have to constantly be serving and we have to be perfect. And all of those beliefs take our power away. All of them. When we truly stop focusing about on what other people think and really focus on what do I think? What do I believe? What do I feel? Oh, that's a biggie. What do I
Oh yeah.
feel?
Yeah.
And what do I need? We will do the right thing. And what's right for us is right for everyone. Because when we're good, they're good.
Yeah. Break that down. Because for a lot of people, so a lot of people I work with, coaches, healers, lovely people, very good at helping other people, not always so good at helping themselves. So you just said something, when you're good, everyone's good. So can you break that down for people who are now thinking, huh, what's she talking about?
Yeah. So I'm going to use an example. So because I talk about this a lot with the women, the mothers that I work with. So we were women first. And then based on the order of operations of your life, you were a wife second, and then you were a mother third. But once women have that child, Everything goes in the opposite direction. They are a mother first, they are a wife second, they are a woman last. And when you live from that perspective where you're a mother first, one, you have no other identity. And when your children fly the coop, you're at a complete loss. Two, you're giving your everything to this child, which doesn't serve them.
No.
How does your child build confidence? How does your child understand that they can fall down and get back up on their own if you're always there lifting them? Or you don't even let them fall. So being everything to your child steals their identity as well as your own, steals their confidence as well as your own. You're trying to be valid and needed. Well, your job is not to be needed as a parent. Your job is to teach these children how to survive as successful contributing adults. And if you're not teaching them how to do that, they can't be that. And so your need to be needed and giving everything to your child doesn't serve them. And then you're exhausted, your husband's feeling neglected, and now this relationship has tons of tension. Let's be real, men are physical creatures. If you're exhausted and giving all of your energy being a mommy, you're sure as shit not feeling sexy.
Oh,
You
that's
don't have the energy to
true.
do anything fun in the bedroom.
Yeah.
Hell, you're probably not even that affectionate. It's all obligatory at that point. I must give you a kiss. I must pretend like I'm paying attention to you. I must pretend like I feel compassion over the stress you had at work. Honestly, I don't care. I'm stressed out because I dealt with the kids all day. And all of a sudden, this relationship is barely surviving, and many don't survive once the kids leave. And the woman's gone. Like this woman no longer has any role. It's just mother and wife. And so you're exhausted, you're overwhelmed, you're resentful, you're not feeling appreciated and run down. Nobody benefits from that.
No.
But if you put the woman first, always become a wife, become a mother, keep that woman front and center, which means make sure the woman has her emotional needs filled. Make sure her spiritual needs are filled. Make sure her physical needs are filled. I can tell you right now, I'm going to get my workout in, and I don't care who else is going to suffer. You are all capable people. Pack your lunch. I don't need to do that. You have an alarm. You have a phone. I don't need to wake you up. There are other mothers that can carpool with me. I don't have to be the only one driving kids around.
Yep.
My husband has a car, he can do it, right? It's not just me, and it shouldn't just be me. And if they want to be happy and they want me to be happy, it can't just be me. And so when I am in a good place, I am loving and affectionate to my husband. I am fulfilling his love. I'm filling his love tank because my love tank is full for me. And then my children don't just feel like an obligation, but they feel loved. I laugh with them. I play with them. It's not all about, is the house clean? Did you do your homework? Are you getting good grades? Are you the best athlete? Are you the best, 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 best? Screw being the best. Are you happy?
Yeah.
Are we happy? So if I'm not a happy human, I'm not raising happy humans. If I'm not a happy human, I'm not creating a happy relationship. If I'm not happy, my friends aren't feeling happy from me. They're constantly surrounded by somebody who's just needing to vent. That's a drain. But when I'm happy, when I'm energized, when I'm fulfilled, everybody around me is happy. It's not selfish. It is my job to make sure I'm happy, specifically because my joy impacts everybody around me. And so does my misery.
And it's then we're back to that choice again, aren't we?
Correct.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
when we're looking for
yeah.
everything else to make us feel valid, that's a lack of self-love. We need to make us feel valid.
Yeah. And to choose ourselves and to choose that, to put that joy into our own lives. Yeah.
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 Is there any last thing you'd like to add, Theresa? This has been a great conversation. I'm really enjoying it. And the idea, just the way that you argue this wife, mother, or the mother, wife, woman thing, it great. Any last thing you'd like to add?
I think just always remembering that our life is our life. And Therefore, we control our power, we control our happiness, we control our joy. We do not control others. We don't have the right to control others, even our own children. We can guide, we can inspire, we can motivate, we can teach, but we don't control. We do control us. And so, what are you choosing to control? What are you choosing to make of your life? What are you choosing to feel powerful? Is it powerful for good? Is it powerful for evil? And if you really want to get stuck on selfishness, consider replacing the word selfish with self-love because they truly are synonymous. And is self-love bad? Because if self-love is not bad, neither is selfish. And you deserve, every person on this earth deserves to take care of their own needs. Because as we just talked about, when our needs are met, everybody around us is happier. And if we all did a better job of taking care of ourselves, this world would be a much more pleasant, happier, peaceful place.
Well, I can't think of a better way to finish off this conversation than that. Theresa, thank you so much for being here today. It's been a wonderful conversation. I
My
really
pleasure.
appreciate you being here today. Thank you.
I love the opportunity. I thank you for letting me share my message.
After this episode, I got back to Theresa to ask her a question because I realized there was a question I hadn't asked her during the episode. And that was this. When Theresa was talking about the roles of being a woman, of being a wife, and being a mother, we didn't talk about where does business owner fit in all of that. So I got back to Theresa and she gave me her opinion after the show. And that was that it's always woman first. And then it's up to you how you want to organize things. So if you put wife second, that's fine. You want to put business second, that's fine. It's all up to you. So just thought I'd fill in that little bit of extra info. If you're enjoying this conversation about power, I'm going to invite you to subscribe. Just ring that bell. Now, I believe that now is a time where we need to be having this conversation and we need to be talking to as many different people as possible and getting as many different perspectives as possible. And the more subscribers there are, the easier it's going to get a wide range of guests to appear on the show. So if you think this is a valuable conversation, especially now, please subscribe and I'll keep delivering the most interesting guests I can find so we can continue this conversation.